Hi, everyone. I'm Ellen Jaffe Jones. This is my channel, Ellen in Sarasota. Welcome back. And today's topic is detox your mind in one day. And you might be saying, Ellen, how do you detox your mind in one day? Is that even possible? Well, it absolutely is. At least it might just be a little bit of a baby start that gets you going on a longer journey, or it might be something you just incorporate into your life every once in a while. But before we get started, I wanted to say, hi, welcome back. And if you are just joining in, I hope you'll find some value in what we offer here. If you have been with me ever since the beginning when I started this channel in 2011, thank you for being here. And I just want you to know this is a safe place. No question is too small or too insignificant. If you've ever been told you ask stupid questions, this will not be the place that you get told that, because life is about learning. Lifelong learning is about asking questions constantly. So I want you to ask them, drop them in the comments below, or anything that crosses your mind as I share with you what we're going to be talking about today. So, detoxing your brain in one day, how to do it. There are hidden dangers of too much digital overload. And is it possible, do you think, that our phones could be sabotaging our health? And how does this really play out? This video will delve into kind of the dangers of digital overload. And um, there, where we start really is with the constant notifications and maybe just being too much on social media and seeing things that, once you see them, you can't ever unsee them. And sometimes these images can be incredibly graphic and disturbing. They may or may not give you a warning in advance before you see it, but it can almost be like you suffer from post-traumatic stress syndrome, even though you weren't physically there. Just seeing some of the graphic images can be very disturbing. Now, as a former TV investigative reporter, my job always was to expose the truth, because truth will set you free. And in today's world, and certainly the current political climate that we're seeing here in the US, I'm sure you can join me and maybe share with me some of the more, shall we say, interesting, bizarre images that they create with AI. Like, I'll just share one and you can share your most interesting one, because this is the thing, you remember it, and that's what they want you to do, even though it is absurd and completely ridiculous and not true. But the image of Kamala Harris being pregnant with Donald Trump's child, that's out there. And these kinds of things really detract from the true issues that we need to be talking about, the important things that will change our lives and that candidates should be concerned about. Now, I don't want to get political here, because that's just a rabbit hole that is sometimes too much of a distraction and not healthy. But these are just things to be aware of, and you almost have to custom design your feed. And when I was a journalism student at the University of Missouri in the 1970s, and I'm really dating myself here, they were predicting back then there would be these machines that would be able to custom tailor the news that we want to see, and not necessarily the news that we need. And that is exactly what has happened. And in the book Winning with the News Media that I co-wrote with my ex-husband, he predicted in there that newspapers would be dead by 19 or by eight. What year? What century are we in? By 2020. And and what you just saw, actually, this is actually kind of interesting. I spaced out in my brain because I'm thinking I have all this stuff running around as a constant creator would. But I got the decade wrong. I got the century wrong. And when you are on overload so much, sometimes your brain doesn't function as clearly. It's not a sign of Alzheimer's. In fact, I even got tested for the gene. I don't have it. So that's one of the great family genes I do not have, but my mom and my grandmother did. So, this is something I'm always like trying to memorize numbers 6 at a time, things to kind of challenge my brain that are outside this constant overload of media information that we're now exposed to. So, how do we do this? You can do it for 24 hours. I just suggest that as a random time, so that it's kind of like going for a swim at the beach. You just need to get away, take a break. So there are even vacations you can go on. I haven't been on one, but I've heard about them from my daughter, where when you start, you just throw all your electronics in a basket. And when the vacation is done, then you can reclaim, I guess, if you want to, all those electronics again. But it's just a way for us to get uh, connected with nature, grounded. And so just, check out your environment. The beach or anywhere around water is always a soothing place to return to for a 24-hour detox. If you can't go on vacation, just leave all the electronics in the car, and trust me, somebody will have a watch if you need to know what your time is. So say you can't get away. What are some things that you can do maybe right here at your desk if you really need to focus? I mean, I actually know people who are so struggling with this. I hear them say things like focus, 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 because we are so easily distracted. So if you have a smartwatch, there are things you can do like putting it on airplane mode. And when you do this, in theory, if you don't have your phone connected to cellular service, it's working off of your phone. And if you disconnect the watch from the phone, then in theory, you won't get notifications from the phone. So that is one way to disconnect, whether it's Wi-Fi, whether it's through cellular service. Just find these ways to try and tune out the world as best you can. By having it on airplane mode, you really do disconnect the watch and everything that it does to let you know about the notifications you have on your phone. And there is even a study that I remember reading about where people, and this is before the watches came out, so I suspect the same thing is happening with watches. But when you had your phone, when you were able to put your phone on your waistband, either like a belt or in a pocket or somehow connected to your physical body, and I can remember this happening where the phone would vibrate, or you would imagine that it was vibrating, and it really wasn't, to let you know that there was a notification on the phone. So our brains start really getting hardwired into these electronics, and they are wonderful devices. Don't get me wrong about that. I don't know where I would be as a runner if I didn't have the watch pacing me and being like a personal trainer and saving me money doing that. So the technology is wonderful, but sometimes we just have to disconnect from it all to de-stress. Another thing disconnecting allows us to do, besides being out in nature and feeling grounded, literally, is being aware of the other things that we need to do to take care of our health, like drinking water. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to people, and I've had this experience myself, where I realize that I'm thirsty. And sometimes we mistake hunger pangs for thirst, or vice versa. And so just getting in tune with our body as we disconnect from all the electronics is a way to do that, even if it's just for 24 hours. I would love to hear from you what your tips are, how you've been able to disconnect. I know that, so if you are around children and have some influence, if you can find a way to keep them distracted into real life, either by changing four walls or taking them outside in some form or fashion, going on a short walk, um, just doing something different that will stimulate their brain, because kids' brains are growing very rapidly, and it's important to establish these pathways and links to healthy habits early. So just 24 hours, whether it's you or your family, can be so important on finding a way to detox your mind and just take a little bit of a break. I hope that's helpful. Again, I'd love to hear what your tips are on how you are managing the stressors of daily life and social media and all the electronics that we are getting constantly bombarded with. Great inventions, but sometimes we just need to take a break. All right, everyone, gotta run. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.